Yep, it's recorded. So I think today I will show the full circle of the application, just to to allow us to understand better about what's going on when you create a form and submit those forms to the server. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, Will.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think for on the first stage, when we want to collect data, I think Ada showed this already. So you duplicate the basic form. Example one, you know, and then create and duplicate. When you design the form, you can kind of decide like what kind of question you want to add in the form, what kind of question um, you want to collect basically through the form. So for this form, for example, I'm just going to collect one observation data, which is the weight of the patient. So that will become the form definition that we have. So it's this one. And then once you're done creating the form definition, I didn't create the encounter type for this particular form because I just want to create the same adult initial type of encounter. You can also define another encounter type if you see that is what you want to do. So now you have the form definition. You will give out um, this form definition to the form developer. Give me a second. Someone is calling me, and I don't know who.
Not me.
Where did it go? I have no idea who this is. Okay. So now you have the form definition. We need to give this form definition to the person who will create the UI of the form. So we will give out some information about the form. So the first one will need the form UUID. Well, you don't. I don't think you need the form UUID. Never mind. To create the form itself, you need to go to the wiki page. on how to create a form. So you can just copy and paste this form template. Oh, you guys cannot see the. So copy and paste this form template um, into a file, basically.
So, Win, is it correct just to copy the form, the form template and just put in a text editor or something like that?
Yeah, you can just put it in a text editor and then just edit as needed, because for this one I want to collect only the weight. So I will just remove this height, because the example form that I have um, uh, also collect. So the template that I have in the wiki um, also have the, what do you call it? The height observation collected.
Mm-hmm.
So now you will have. So the important thing that we need to pay attention is the first one is this one. This one will create the so this one will be pre-filled by the application with the form UUID, so we can get the encounter information and then the form information.
Win, I just have a quick question here. Do you have
Mhm.
a minute, or you want to get back to it after your? I don't want to disturb you while in the middle of this, but it's
No,
related.
go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
So I was kind of today I was kind of working on the ticket where we were trying to remove the duplication of the version from the Mozilla form.
Sweta, I think we lost you for a bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on 186 where we're trying to remove the duplication of the name and the version and the description column from the Mozilla Forms table.
Mhm.
Um, so I was just wondering, like, there's also on the form table itself, there's a
Mhm.
form ID and there's a form UUID. So I was
Mhm.
just wondering, and form ID seems to be the primary key, right? And
Yes.
form UUID is not a primary key. It's unique, but it's not a primary key. So and form UUID is what is basically the common data between OpenMRS form table and Mozilla Forms table. So I was just wondering why a separate form UUID? Why couldn't we not just use the form ID?
I think it's just a way to create the connection between the.
Yeah. So maybe I can answer this one. So each installation, OpenMRS installation, will have the same form IDs. Let's say that there's always form ID 1, form ID 2, but for the form UUID, it will be uniquely generated. So when people try to move the form from one server or one installation to another one, um, if we don't include the form UUID, this is more like another, check to make sure that we are not overwriting something that actually existing in a different installation. So the form ID, we still use it because it's just more like easily human readable number that we can remember, we can easily reference to. But the form UUID is something really uniquely we can distinguish, even though the form ID is the same. But then once the form is moved from among different installations, we want to make sure that we're not overwriting something.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that answers that question. Thank you. And another question that I had was, is for a given form definition, there's only one Muzima form template, right? Like multiple Muzima forms cannot be linked to one OpenMRS form. Is that correct? It's a 1:1 mapping.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I think the mapping between the Muzima form table and the form table in OpenMRS is probably going to need some tweak, I think, Sweta.
Yeah, I know that the only way y'all are right now, because there's no relationship, there's no foreign key constraint between the two tables, there's no relationship as such. It's just plain duplication of these three columns, which so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop these three columns and then create a link like a foreign key to the OpenMRS form table. And once that is done, I was just wondering, is like, how in Hibernate we have to either say it's a many to one or a 1:1. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a one-to-one connection. But you cannot. So, one. Sweta, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a one-to-one connection, but deleting the Mozilla form is not going to actually delete the one in OpenMRS.
Right. I understand that it's not a cast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a cascade. Yep.
Okay. Thank
Cool.
you.
Awesome.
Can you also create the foreign key to the build column from the form table for this ticket? Maybe we can add that piece information as well. So in addition to the name, description, version, also include the build number.
Yeah, I think we can look at that later on, Ada. I think. Yeah, I think.
It requires different discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So,
thanks.
yeah, going back. So some of the data, some of this information will be provided by the HTML form. So the code that does this, give me a second. Give me a second. I need to. The code that will populate the this this one class will populate the some of the header information. So the medical record name, given name, middle name, family name, sex, UUID, patient UUID, birth date, form UUID will be uh, pre-populated. So when you, as you open the form, all this um, all this question or form element will be pre-filled by the um, by the application. So if you want to change how we initialize the form when you open it, you can add extra information in this class. Okay, and then the other thing, if you put the form in the form project, uh, workspace, Mozilla. Give me a second. So if you put all the form in the, if you check out the form project, uh, you can play around with what would you expect, how it's going to be rendered in the device. And then you can also play around with what kind of data will get submitted when you press the save or submit for, button. Okay, so this is the Mozilla form project. So if you need to create a new form, you will put your new form, you check out this one, you put your new form here, and then you can open your file in the browser and you will see how it will look like in the uh, device. So for example, in this one, I don't want the breast cancer to show up, so I will change the file to something else. Give me one moment to fire up my editor. Example demo form, and then refresh. So something like this. So you can easily play around with your new form. If you're ready with your form, you will go back to this one and then upload your new form.
So Wayne, I think probably it would be a good clarification to mention is that how do you get the form ID and the form UUID on your code? So are those the artifacts that you get from the OpenMRS managed form metadata, and then you just update the value on your code. Or there is an automatic way that when you upload it, it will automatically to grab the value from the form table. I think probably it's good just to clarify. I think some of them are not very clear on this part.
Oh, okay. Um, so when you upload a form to Mozilla, um, so what happened is, oh, let me pull the. What is the REST endpoint? I forgot. Um, so in the form module, we have a REST endpoint where you can get uh, the all the forms. So um, give me a second. Why is it not working? So when we pull the form information, we don't care about the form ID. So the structure for a form in Mozilla is um, you'll have the name, the description, and then the UUID. So whatever, um, so the UUID that you will get is in form of like this. We use this one to get back the Mozilla form record, and then from the form record we can know what is their relation to the OpenMRS form, because we have that connection right now, and then we use this form in the processing. I will show you in a minute. So just hold on for now. So and then um, now we have our form here. Just hold on for. Let me. I'm trying to start my Mozilla. Agree. Yes. So the form is pulling just one concept. So now when you try to fill one form, you can see all the pre-populated information is there. Pick the location. Like today is 55. And then submit. So the complete form is there. So I haven't got a chance to merge a bunch of pull requests because I wasn't sure during the testing if we want to um, test a bunch of data features. So now if we go back to the no, not this one. So now if we go back to the form itself, the Q data that we get is this one. So as we can see, all the data that was picked is there. So what is the most important part, I think, is this one. So encounter, uh, so for the form UUID. So what is this one actually? So this one is the 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 UUID information of the form used to collect uh, this data. So this one will allow us to figure out what is the original form template, and then from the form template, we can get the encounter information, the encounter type information, and then what is the form information. So the one that we entered before, when we upload the form, for this form, there is a connection between this Muzima form with the OpenMRS form. So to process an encounter, we need to have the information for the encounter type, and then we should optionally have the information for the form on the OpenMRS side. So mandatory is encounter type, and then the optional is the form information. We don't have the encounter type information in the Muzima form, but we can pull those information from the relation of this Muzima form with the OpenMRS form table. And then the other information is the data that you collect on the observation side, and then the data that is pre-populated by the application, the patient information. Even for the patient information, what we actually use for processing is just this one. So all the other information will be ignored because we don't want to do patient updating through this particular form. So if you want to update the demographic information, for example, you should submit a separate form. Do we have questions?
No, we are good.
Okay. The other thing that we can see is the type of the processor which will handle this form. So in the form definition, we specify the type of the processor is going to be JSON encounter, and this one will be going back to the server. In a way, it's a redundant kind of information because you can figure out what is the type based on this UUID as well. But in the future, if we want to remove it, if we want to remove this one, then we potentially can do that as well. So if we start processing all the form, all this information going to get processed, as long as the information is correct and it exists. For example, if we have location ID 7, if we have provider ID for this one, then this will create a new observation for this particular patient. Do we have question?
No,
I think that's the flow for the form from creating it all the way to submitting it. Any question? Oh, I'm sorry, I cut you, Sweta. What?
no, I think that was clear, Vin.
Okay.
I don't have any questions. I'm not sure about Manu Kumaran.
Manu or Kumaran, do you guys have any question?
No, not exactly.
Okay. So in OpenMRS, we register a processor, a scheduler task, which will run every, I think it's just stuck here, which will run every 10 minutes. Wow, that's a long time. I think we can make it like every 1 minute.
Yeah, then I think it was me. I forgot to turn that back to 1 minute. I was taking a couple of screenshots, and I would always find the scheduler would literally process the data before I could take a screenshot. So I kind of
Oh.
increased the time and I forgot to change it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. Oh, there's a lot of data submitted. So if the data doesn't have any particular handler, it will be left alone in the queue forever. So like this one doesn't have any handler for it, I think. It will be in the queue like for a very long time. So there's a bunch of error data that will go in. So like this one, um, so we try to make the message as clear as possible. Like this error, why is it erroring? Because identifier blah 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 already in use by another patient. So hopefully that will give us a bit clarity on uh, how to fix the issue. So there is a patch which I haven't got a chance to merge, which would allow us to like fix all these errors. So if there's a button here, and then if you edit, you can edit this um, data and then resubmit it uh, into the queue again. So if you want to requeue this error, for example, if you want to try to reprocess it, you just press the queue button. Oh, there's JavaScript alert still there. So as you can see, the queue will get shorter, and then at some point it's gonna be hopefully gone. So this encounter is not gonna be processed because we don't have a handler for this, I think. Um, any question or no?
No. So typically, this happens in real time whenever the scheduler runs.
Yeah, I think it's pretty quick, the scheduler.
Okay. So on an average, like a healthcare provider submits maybe how many forms would you say in a day?
Um,
Or is that dependent on how many patients he's actually caring for or something?
yeah, I think it's gonna be dependent. I would say on average on a pretty busy clinic day, I think there will be like 300 something patient coming in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty big.
Right. So once the healthcare provider actually submits the form, I know that we show a message saying that the form has been synced successfully, and then you remove it from the completed forms tab to show that it's actually sent out of the device to the server. But they don't receive any other acknowledgement from the server saying that it's been processed, right?
Right. There is nothing like that currently. But
Mm-hmm.
what they can do is um,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to the uh, client list again.
Right.
Give me a second. So if you go to oops, time up. If you go here
Mm-hmm.
and then re-download again,
Right.
you will get all the observation,
Okay.
new observation for that particular patient if it exists. Like if you collect more weight data
Mm-hmm.
and there's a new weight data,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you will only get that single weight data.
Okay. So typically, I mean, what happens to these forms? Like once they get, I'm just asking just to understand how it's actually being used. So I understand that most of these people, the clients, they can't really go to the clinic or the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this actually happening in the hospital? Like, are there doctors who actually see these records? Like, what happens once you actually record all of these encounter data? What happens to the data next? Like, what kind of action is taken on it, or some kind of processing is done on the data?
I'm sorry, what was it, Sweta? I lost you.
I'm sorry. Okay, so basically, I'm just trying to figure out how the how we're actually using all of this data that we collect. So from what I understand, there's a satellite clinic which is not like a full-fledged clinic where they have a lot of, I guess, equipment or labor to deal with medical emergencies and things like that. So the
Mm-hmm.
healthcare provider actually collects all this data and then he sends it to a server. And is there a doctor or somebody who's looking at this data? What happens to the data once it gets saved as an encounter or you know?
I think most of the data is going to be uh, collected and then used for reporting, one, and then I think they have what they call, uh, Manu could comment on this. I forgot what is the LARC stand for, but they're trying to make sure the patient is following up with like coming back after a while.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly like for linkage and retention of the patient. So they check to see that if that patient came and maybe they were hypertensive, what made them not to go see the health provider again and stuff like that. So through the reporting module, they're able to see the patients who are linked and the patients who are not linked.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how are we actually using the notifications tab? Like I've not really used it a lot. I'm not sure how. I think it's something new because I don't see it in 1.0. Is it?
Um, so for the consultation, I think what happened is you have someone in the field with um, and then there's an expert in the central in where all this big server is staying, and then folks in the field most likely is going to be community health workers, so they're not a full-fledged doctor.
Right.
If they found something and they don't understand how to uh, like I don't know what kind of medicine you should prescribe, uh, what kind of disease this is, they could take a picture of the patient, take a video of the patient, um, and then send this information with a bunch of questions. For example, what kind of uh, problem is this if the patient have this and this symptom? The symptom is in the picture, so something like that. And then this one will go to the server, the expert in the server will go through the like the media, the video, the image, and then they can provide some sort of reply, like more information about this, and then send it to the particular provider, the community health worker in this case, and then the community health worker can pull this reply into their device, and then they can see, oh, looking at the image that you send, the issue is so and so, something like that.
Is that feature already there today in Mozilla? Where
It is, I think it is in the, what is it called? In the other APK.
the other APK? I'm not sure I understand.
I think we have like 2 APK.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So this is the form that already got processed. So it will create a new observation. And then you can also see in the server. This one is the one that we just submit.
Right.
Yeah. So we can see the data in the device, and then we can also see the data in the server. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, that's pretty much an end-to-end test on that.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ben, I have a quick question. Actually, this is a question that both Vikas and I have been wanting to ask you. So, how do you actually for the Android APK? It's okay. It's easy to debug because we have the logcat and we can see it. Suppose it's something, a module, right? Because it's running on MRS. How do you I can't really place debug points in my IDE and run it. So
Oh,
how do you actually?
to debug module in OpenMRS? Sweeta?
Yes, yes. Hello. Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
go about debugging the module in OpenMRS? Like if I want to, go into debug mode and step through the code and things like that. Like how do you do it? Because the module is running on OpenMRS, it's not running on my local machine.
Okay. You need to add this config in the runtime properties.
Okay.
A second. Let me find it. It's this one. Debug. So you need to add this.
Oh, okay.
Where's
Debug. Got it.
this my? So you need to add this extra information in the runtime properties.
Right. Okay.
Do you know where your runtime properties is?
Yes, I do. It's the one under what is this? I haven't. Yeah, I know where that is. It's the one with the OpenMRS inside OpenMRS, right?
Yeah,
OpenMRS standalone dot properties.
yeah,
Okay,
it's this file,
right.
and then you can add this PM argument.
Mm-hmm.
My PM argument looks like, one second, it's trying to open it. My VM argument looks like this. So for example, if I'm trying to debug
But this would basically, would it allow you to actually step into the code, or is it just going to like, put whatever your logs onto the?
no, this one will allow you to actually debug your I can show it to you.
Okay.
Whoa. Give me a second. This is going to start up starting up the OpenMRS standalone in a debugging mode. It may take like a minute or two. And then should be able to start debugging, like remote debugging. Do you know how to do this, I think? In IntelliJ, it's pretty straightforward. I think in Eclipse, you can also do this. And then remote debugging, and then the port, make sure it is the same port that you use in the runtime properties. There's a remote. Are you using Eclipse or IntelliJ?
We are using IntelliJ.
Oh, IntelliJ. So IntelliJ is gonna be just add, and then this remote, and then I already have mine set. So remote debugging, and then make sure just change the port to the whatever port you specify in the VM argument. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can.
And then press OK. And then press this debug button.
Right.
And then now you are connected to the VM. So you can do this on every modules that you load.
Okay.
And then in this one, I am debugging the Mozilla forms.
Right.
For example, I want to debug this, saving a tag,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will go to OpenMRS, manage form, My computer is screaming. I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, then add tag, for example. So it will take me to this one.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it gives you all the breakpoint and whatever, and then you can see all the data that you're sending in.
Okay. That's cool.
Cool?
Yeah.
And then you
Thank.
can like this.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so the thing is, if you go to the service,
Hmm.
um, it will confuse because it's going to invoke whatever the internal of the string. So if you want to step through this one, you put a breakpoint in wherever you want to go, and then just go to this, and then it will eventually get to there. Otherwise, it's going to be taking a few more steps before you actually get into the line of code that you want.
Okay.
This is applicable for anything managed by Spring, like the service, and then the DAO will be the same. So for example, like this one, I want to get into the save. I just put a breakpoint there and then step through it, and then I can see what being sent into the method call. Are we cool?
Yes.
Any questions?
No. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. I think it's time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have another quick question, Vin,
okay.
about the completed forms, the issue that I was investigating, which Derek said there was he had a problem with clearing out the completed forms. Uh,
Uh-huh.
I think I left a message on the Jira saying that
Yeah.
clicking on any
You,
of the completed forms was causing the app to crash.
mhm.
So I happened or
No, I never seen it happen actually. I think that's one of the.
I can actually recreate the problem every single time. So it's
Oh, you
not,
did?
yeah, I can, not Derek's problem. Derek's problem I cannot recreate, but
Oh, oh.
I have this other issue where if there are a bunch of forms under completed forms, I go
Mhm,
and click on one of the forms to
mhm,
open it up to view it, right?
mhm,
And it causes the app to crash. And I think
mhm.
I know what the issue is, and I put in a fix for it, but there's no Jira for it, and I've issued a pull request. So maybe I think it has something to do with the
With the time.
encounter type
Yeah, I
not being.
saw your pull request.
Yes. So,
Is
and
it
I
possible for you to create a ticket on it and then just
sure. I think
create?
I also see the same issue happening in 1.0.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that comment as well. I think
But I
it's
wasn't sure
possible.
about the fix itself because I don't know. It seems to be like they're getting this value from an intent, but I don't see anyone setting it. But we're trying to read it, so I'm not sure why. Unless I'm really missing something out there, I wasn't sure. I know that form data has the encounter type set in it, so I was wondering if we could just take that information from there.
Yeah, I will look into your pull
Yeah.
request, Shrita.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's it. That's it from me. Uh, thank you so much for the call.
Yeah. Cool, guys. Yeah, it's past our time.
Yeah.
Thank you for being in the call, and then I hope it is um, clearing up something with the development process.
Yeah, it is really. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. We'll continue in the cyberspace and have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah. You too. Bye.
Bye bye.